Indeed, a wonderful morning, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, a pleasure and an honor to be enveloped by luminaries in and around Mangalore and far beyond. With me, the Dean of the Hebich Institute of Technology, an elite institute. The work that they do is amazing and incredible. To whom does that credit go? Professor Chethan, who is the Dean. Neuro-linguistic program is when you rewire the brain and alter one's direction into a different level. And for that, we have Professor Ramalingam, who is an eminent neuro-linguistic programmer. Now, the Mangalore University is now recognized as a leading light. And in that regard, I was saying luminaries, that is why we are called gurus. Why? Gu means darkness, Ra means light. And when the two join together, light always dispels the darkness and brings in luminaries. And consequently, we are all gurus, I suppose. But in that regard, Mangalore University is now at the very top, primarily by the Vice Chancellor, Professor Yadapadithaya. It is not easy to get a collection of such luminaries, but I had this pleasure this morning by being able to interact with Paul, who is naturally, as you know, a cementing factor for all of us. Now, in that regard, primarily we are here to discuss about the potential for student benefit. And in that regard, I always focus on one book, The Earth is Flat, by Martin Friedman. And Martin Friedman said, you should evolve in such a way that students should be so focused upon, and that I hope and unfortunately is not yet the focus on, in making our students world class. Because what is the best export commodity we can have? What is the greatest revenue earner for India? Foreign direct investment from NRIs. And what is our best export commodity? Wonderful, brilliant, finely tuned boys and girls. If they are at the cutting edge of excellence, the world desires their excellence. So that is something we should have a focus on. In that regard, I will a bit talk about my own children. When they were in the formative years, I didn't, although my wife was focusing on academics and marks, unfortunately today is an era which is mark based. It is not knowledge based. Oh, my son got a distinction or a first class or a rank. And then there are many distinction students who come and I ask a question, Faraday's law, Coulomb's law, Ohm's law, they are blank. Why? Because they are only focusing on their marks. Now come back again. Although my children, my wife was focusing on academics, what I did focus on is perfect, precise English. They had to master one word, and then at the end of 1 week, 7 words, and tell me 7 perfect words, diction, delivery, syntax, meaning, spelling. And consequently, it is so sad later on when their entire batch of 300 students went for campus placements, only 10 were selected based on specifically, primarily on their English speaking skills, because these multinational companies felt that their primary request and requirement is they should be able to interact with their overseas clients. And I asked the parent teacher in the parent teacher association meeting, I said, you should have from day one in my school, Bishop Cotton's. I had the distinctive pleasure in studying in an elite school, British teachers, not that we should eulogize them because they ruled India, but still every evening we were taught and tutored on perfect English speaking skills. And if we are not good enough, they will not let us allow the outside the campus. So consequently, for my own children, and later on, it was so sad that many did not, even though they were outstanding students, they did not get picked because they had not focused on English speaking skills. So in that regard, I always enthuse students to really focus on everyday perfect one word. Earlier, during my formative years, I used to listen to the Voice of America, and this early morning, 4:30, Phil Irwin would come and give the special English news. I would just pick one word, write it in a book and practice that 1,000 times until I am error free. Today, of course, my management, the esteemed AJ Medical College, the chairman, asked me to deliver the initial inaugural address for every year the batch of 150 students that come from all over the world to seek our guidance and enlightenment in the MBBS course. So in that regard, may I ask the luminaries with me to share their thoughts. And beyond that, of course, they must have perfect soft skills on how to interact, how to verbiage, how to walk the talk and talk the walk, how to dress, and a whole lot of soft skills. And beyond that, in my area of medicine, hard skills on how to operate, how to examine a patient, how to use instruments, how to properly use instruments without causing harm. The first dictum in medicine is do no harm. And one day, the other day, I will not name names or colleges, that we have to puncture the sternum to take a biopsy of the marrow when some suspicion is there. So this patient, the student who was doing the marrow, while the guard has to be there, he did not look into that, punctured the marrow, went through and through into the heart, punctured the heart, and the patient died. Who was the patient? The wife of a criminal lawyer. So in life, basically, and especially in the journey in medicine, especially, we need to know what not to do and what precautions to observe. So soft skills, hard skills, communication skills, English are all facets that we must absolutely imbibe in order to make our students world class, so that the world waits for their expertise and grasp them. Look at the major corporations in the world, all headed by Indians. Why? Because Indians have an incredible potential to evolve, grow, and acclimatize them into the corporate ethos of a corporation and eventually take it to the very top. We are privileged to have such luminaries guide, guard, and take these organizations to the very top. The world looks forward to capable Indians to take these organizations to the very top. So may I have your thoughts also, sir?
Yeah, it is rightly said. Skill development is very, very important because in the higher education institutions, whenever we are trying to impart education to the learners, it should be learner-centric and not the teacher-centric. A real teacher is always a sincere student, because we are wedded to the philosophy of lifelong learning mission, and we are in the world of what you call community of practice. Such being the case, how we are equipping our learners to lead their life in a more meaningful and befitting manner. The point is, it is not the cumulative grade point average, it is not the qualification, but it is the competency which matters a lot. When I say competency, it is made up of 5 critical ingredients: knowledge, attitude, skills, habits, and values. Knowledge, domain specific application oriented knowledge. Theory loaded teaching and kind of curriculum framework which will test the students within 3 hours duration of examination, and papers will be evaluated and they are declared successful in the examination, and in the convocation they will be awarded degrees and all. It becomes totally ritualistic, and the students will embrace what you call memory based rote learning. The National Education Policy 2020 talks about say no to memory based rote learning. What is required is experiential learning. I can recall David Kolb's experiential learning cycle of 1970s. It holds water even today, and because in that experiential learning cycle, it's a virtuous cycle. It says whatever you get experience, it should be concretized. So the first stage is concrete experience. Immediately in the next step is reflective observation. Whether the learner is engaging himself or herself in a reflective observation, application of mind, questioning mindset. That's very, very important. Reflective observation. Then the third one is abstract conceptualization, because you have got a stored memory called backup files because of past experience or the previous incidents or happenings or occurrences. Based on that, the new input which entered into the human mind will have to be included to the backup files, so that you will give meaning to it and you will call it a reality. So what comes to your mind immediately need not be a reality, it becomes only a perception. Then there will be a thought process, then emotions or feelings, then action tendencies. All these will formulate what you call our attitude. It may be enthusiastic attitude or indifferent attitude, positive attitude or negative attitude. Sometimes even it could be hostile attitude. So this kind of layers will constitute the attitude. Then finally our actions. Action should always speak louder than words, because normally there is a saying, an inch of practice is always better than a ton of theory. Whether our students, after acquiring their educational qualifications, will be in a position to walk the talk? Mostly not, because they don't know how to honor their own words at a higher price. This merely lack of transactional commitment and ability to transform theory into practice. Understand and appreciate the ground level realities, so that they will rise to the occasion and make things happen. I have come across 5 categories of students in the education system. The first category, those students who can make things happen. They are called powerful performers. They are called super keepers. They will always exceed the expectations of the authorities or the teachers or the administrators. The second category, those students who think that they make things happen. Thinking is not doing. So they must be able to translate their thought process into actions. The third category, those students who watch things happening, because they are called sightseeing category. Oh, others are coming up, or others are doing extremely well, exceedingly well. So it means normally here the medicine for this kind of disease is stop worrying about others and start thinking about yourself. You must engage in a process called soul searching. What am I and what I am up to? How far I have become successful? Enemy always lies within. Fourth category is those students who wonder what had happened. It's amazing, it's incredible here, and the next door neighbor, that son, he got this much of marks and this many accolades and all those things. Really great and all those things. But that will not take you anywhere. You should be just like a gushing river, you should not suffer from stagnation. You have to disturb the status quo and do something new. But this is holding you back, and it will also develop certain mental blocks, and there will be a kind of life script written by you only. It cannot be done, so I will not do it. Instead of that, if you rewrite your life script saying that, I can do it, so I will do it. That requires a kind of courage, confidence and conviction. So the last category, those students who did not even know what had happened, called sleeping giants, Kumbhakarnas. So wherever you are and whatever you are as a student, you must come and occupy the first position, making things happen. So this kind of thing, is very, very important, and the current educational scenario must inject three important C's. The first one is courage to fail. Unless you fail, you will not be able to make things happen. So internally, you must be in a position to rise to the occasion, and it is possible only when you have got a courage to fail. Then second one is confidence to win. I can, so I will. A kind of mental preparedness. Because everything will be created twice in this world. First in your mind, next in the physical world. That's what Stephen R. Covey said in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I really appreciate that. The third C is nothing but conviction to succeed. Because you are convinced that it is the right way of doing it. So I am doing it. It means you are not doing it out of compulsion. If you are doing it out of coercion or compulsion, quality will suffer. Therefore, it is not just involvement, but it's also important what you call commitment should be there. Otherwise, you will throw the baby along with bathwater. You retain the tub and the baby, throw only the wastewater. So this way, we must succeed in making our education meaningful. Ultimately, National Education Policy 2020 is focusing on total well-being of a student or a learner on 5 dimensions: physical, mental, intellectual, social and spiritual. Here when I say spiritual, it is not visiting the place of worship 10 times a day. According to Swami Vivekananda, spirituality is nothing but the science of human excellence. We must be able to unleash the potential within every student. Then only you will become a successful teacher. That's my observation, sir.
Well said. It is indeed so an eye-opener what you have said just now. So may I ask, sir?
When I was told that there is no topic. What is the topic, I asked? There is no topic like that. When Paulus told me, then I immediately thought of preparing for the topic of no topic. So I was preparing and building up also for some themes I had known. And today the direction of students has no topic. How to act in the emergency scenario for the teachers, there is no topic. So I was thinking so many other things also. So here also Dr. Cole's theory, he says 4 roles also. So the process is concrete experience. That's after he explained. And one is diverger, another is assimilator, theorist, adapter. See what happens once you do the action, it does not the cycle to complete, he has to adapt whether it works. When it works, how better it can be applied. When it does not apply, then how to correct it. That adaptation. And like that, the cycle has to be as fast as possible if you are playing all the 4 roles according to the blend and your life role. You fit the learning roles into your life roles. Or being a professor or being a student in whatever role you take in life are given in role. Many roles are given. A few roles are taken. Yes. And we know that we have been also chatting about it. A role means 2 dimensions. One is what is expectations. Number second is tension, stress. If role is not there in my life, there is no stress for me. If role is not there, My wife will never expect anything from me. She is like that. My expectations is the basis. And basic thing about expectation is expectation from self. What do you expect from yourself? In some of the executive trainings when you speak, and when I say that in role clarification the most important, first question is what do you expect from yourself? What your juniors expect from you? What your boss or superior expects from you? And what organization as a whole? Then what nation expects from you? All the questions were easy questions. What do you expect from yourself was the most difficult thing for them. And for that, when they prepare themselves, as very rightly our Chancellor was telling is, self-growth. How you will develop yourself. That is excellence. That is excellence. What you find yourself. In the morning, it was on one occasion, Paulus was an introductory speech he was telling. And here we are talking about certain things, development. This development is not real estate development rather. I was immediately thinking it is not real estate, it's a real estate is development, not real estate. Real estate may be concrete, you may own lot of properties. But how do you use your property ultimately decides to become Chief Minister of a state also. A Malayali can become Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu because he knew how to spend money, not by hoard money. So this is very important. In education also same tips applies. I am highly educated, triple PhD, all that is there. How did he use it? Application. See, they say the taste of the pudding is in its eating, not simply, and giving also according to me. We have to share it also. And sharing also. Sharing is your value, eating is your sustenance. Both are required for you. So this is a very wonderful. Somewhere, when we were talking about it, some soft skill, very nicely, sir was telling. And I think that in a university, Pondicherry University, about 10 years, 12 years back, Israeli Inbaraj, general manager of TCS, was in my panel. And I was the head of the panel, he was also there, another was there. And the Vice Chancellor sitting there, that lady, and she was asking one question, sir, you are doing all these things here for student development, you are telling, career orientation panel. So when he asked, that people say employability, what is it, please tell? And I think most of, sometimes Vice Chancellors may not know, but students may be knowing, because they were failed in campus election a few times, they know it. So I will ask like that, one student raised the hand and asked, then immediately that lady was telling, it is employability, sir, it's soft skill, sir. One word answer, correct answer, fitting answer, and soft skill, very good. Do you think soft skill is difficult to get it or hard to learn it? Soft skills are hard. Simplicity is profound but difficult to get it. Something like that. What is the kind of thought can you share? Sir, speaking skills. Beyond it she could not go. Thereafter I was telling a few things, and people, organizations look for your they employ ability. They do not employ you. Your ability is their generative asset, and you have to have that ability. Learned ability and inborn ability, both are there. Inborn ability, how it can be there, that is another big, even now discussions are going on. In circles, psychology circles is going on. So, what student, ultimately, the role of a student is permanent. Teacher role may become professor role. Some professors remain only as readers. They read only PowerPoint presentation. And the professors never become professors, they remain readers only. And like this. And tutors, they need it. So they remain like that. And so at different level, when they don't understand the clarity of what is being a teacher, what is being a trainer, many people used to say, sir, he is T group trainer, sir. Because that itself was given training group only, T group. Originally Americans named it. But in India, founders, all great people like Uday Parikh and others, what they have declared, it's L group, learning group. Manohar Nadkarni named it, the father of achievement motivation in India. He only, I happened to be with him and all that. In my website, that photo also I have put it. Many things people don't believe. So I have to put it in my website. So that is something, it's a learning, training is learning. I used to say, please, for heaven's sake, don't tell me as a trainer. When you tell trainer, immediately I am thinking of circus only. I can't think of students and learners and adults. It is very difficult. Trainer is I will call it as, that is a very bad word according to me. Call me as facilitator. And I am facilitating learning. And that facilitation results, very rightly sir has stressed that point, my son is better than. Some students should be better. That is what I am telling. It is possible under facilitation only. I have to facilitate him to become better than me. Do you think you are better than me? Like that, if he start arguing, he is unfitted to be a teacher, trainer, presentator or any role. And making the other person better than me is the first and foremost role of anybody, particularly in university levels. Because that is why we forget university professors and remember elementary school teachers. Because they transformed very fast within a short period. And they were the people. And we liked it how he gave here. Immediately brain inside was evoked for me. Whenever he did, rarely they did it for me. Because my father was parents committee chairman. So we treat people with the different eyes of from which family he has come. Who was his father, all that we are considering. And we don't consider him neutrally. That is now in Indian society needs, because you are pluralistic society. Region, religion, language, so many things are there. And one wonderful point sir has told is the essentiality of language, particularly English. And he was telling. And fortunately for me, 9th standard, I did 72, 74, 76 exercises of Renan Martin grammar 3 times. And who gave English grammar training, Hindi Pandit. Because Hindi Pandit in Tamil Nadu does not have job at all. Because the sessions will be, people don't like Hindi agitation, Hindi resistance was there. And he studied MA history. And you see, my father was known to him and all that. When I was mischievously playing in the street, he used to call him and taught me Renan Martin grammar. Even now I am having Renan Martin. And I buy, now when Mr. Rao is editing here. And composition means Martin. Grammar means Ren. And then Jimson's, the pronouncing dictionary. That also I am having pronouncing. I learned, I purchased it and I was Daniel Jones pronouncing dictionary I purchased because to train my daughter. My daughter won South Indian prize. For South India there was Air India contest, Air India, Hindu and Indian Express conducted. Talk your way to USA one contest. My daughter, now she is an American citizen. She won a 9th standard and got prize from MGR. For that, to coach her, I studied pronunciation. Otherwise, Tamilians, English pronunciation is only, we call it as Tanglish. And so, mother tongue influence will be there. Because mother's influence is there. Like that, mother tongue influence also very rich, particularly in pronunciation. And I made her to listen to 5:30 news. BBC. Then it will ring at 12 o'clock in the tower that will in London, and it will send news radio. He will start news BBC London, like that he will start, and it will go on for about half an hour. First news, and that she will Big Ben clock. When it rings, 12 rings, it is 0 hour. In Wales 0 hour starts there only. Greenwich Mean Time. There, and that is why perhaps they have remained there itself. In spite of acquiring many nations, they have become ultimately again 0 they have become. But good nation, at least they. I like them only for one thing, that English language. And it is very helpful. And so that is, you stress that point, because our presence globally is more important today. And for that, the students have to develop. And see, I used to, in light sense, I used to say, Lord Shiva also is an NRI. He lives in foreign territory. Like that I used to tell, because Kailash is not in our territory. So this everybody has to become an NRI, to become non-resident. I went abroad and I was given foreign citizenship in 1972, but unfortunately because of my family reasons, I had 2 daughters by the time, and that is one thing I have common with Paulus also. And both of us are PFTDs, I used to say. PFTD means proud father of 2 daughters. So, and it was easy for me. Nowadays I wanted to get that point. The gender equality was promoted 2-3 decades back, 4 decades back. Women's education, women's colleges, Agni's college. Now that college has become co-education. So now what has happened is, now take care of boys. Like that situation has come now. First 3 ranks goes to only women. Now woman becomes first, then men comes later. Reverse has happened. And this is also not desirable. See, what I am saying is that gender equality and of course equanimity, the basic thing has. These 2 things, when you give, transfer of information only is not enough. Then teacher is not required when Google is there. See, this is what is. These are the things I wanted that coming right now, because it is spontaneously whatever I came to my mind only I am telling. More vital points I would have missed also. Now certainly some of the points I missed, and when it is repeatedly used the word luminary. What is luminary? I was thinking. That means it giving light. And further, Chethan will throw light on whatever area I have missed, as though new areas found by him. Welcome, welcome Chethan. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. Let me explain with regards to hard skill. According to me, precision to perfection is skill. So recently I was invited to Stitchcraft convocation. So I was informing them about what is skill. I just gave an example of this. Since all women were there, I took a example of how many of them. There are around 40 students graduated on that day, and I asked them, do you know to cook biryani? All the 40 of them raised their hand. So then my next question was, how many of you can meet the standard of your mother cooking? So only 3 of them raised their hands. So that is what is the skill. So I told them, this is what is the skill. Everyone know how to cook. We can use WhatsApp or YouTube and prepare something. But getting into the perfection is something which comes by practice. So there is no shortcut to success in skill set, particularly in the mechanical industry. So what we have to do is, we have to start from the scratch, from the beginning, particularly mechanical. So now my message to youngsters is, they have to learn the tools, equipments, materials, then the machines, from the basic machine into the CNC and the advanced machine. The recent developments, what's happening is, during we have MOU with engineering colleges. The students, they will visit us for 4 weeks of internship. What they say is, we don't want to learn anything basics. If you give us the only CNC programming and operation teaching is more than enough. But if you want to understand practicality, if you want to do better, if you know how to drive better, you have to start from the scratch. Basic machines, basic lathe, drilling machines, then advanced. Then, so their expectation is like, if I learn only the creamy layer of the technology, I will be in a better position. But so as Dr. Devan, when we visited, he was happy with us because we have answered his question. One of our faculty answered his question. So that is, we are doing it because we are doing it practically. Under the guidance of experienced instructors, students execute the job. My message to parents are like, what they do is, they always expect that their war to be in a white collar job. Of course, mechanical industry is a evergreen industry. They have to understand the system. So for that, they have to dirty their hands and be part of. So they have to encourage the students, not that if you go to only the different courses, so computer science related and all, I think it will be better. But not that. Here we have seen since past 25 years, the mechanical industry is stagnant. There is a variation in the other sectors, but it is stagnant. But we need to equip ourselves and make sure that we are understanding the new technologies. Now CNC is a new technology, was past 10 years before, now it is artificial intelligence, 3D printing, and there are other things. So we have to equip ourselves. And my message to the faculty members, including all of us, is we have to understand what are the expectations of the industries. We as ITIs and diploma and the engineering colleges, like we have to understand the expectation of the industry. There is a huge gap between the industry requirement and what we are producing. So that we need to work on it, focus on it, and more coordination. We speak about employability skill, but most of us did not go understand the HR perspective of an organization. But we speak about employability skill to our students. So what we have to do is we have to learn ourselves. That is what continuous improvement activities. We spoke about Poke, Japanese technology. How continuous improvement, it is very, very essential to all the faculty members. So it is all together, as now the Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister is emphasizing more on the skill development. So we have to equip ourselves. Past 50 years, it's a different era altogether. Next 10 years is a different era which we are facing. We are entering into that era. We need to prepare ourselves to make a better responsible citizens of the society. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the opportunity.
This has been a wonderful discussion amongst elite educationists surrounding me on various aspects of student life, especially focusing on education as a factor. So thank you very much this morning. Thank you very much. God bless.
Oh Almighty, create thoughts and actions in the minds of the people of our nation, so they may live united. May they live united. Oh Almighty, this is my prayer. Oh Almighty, help them choose the right path. Bless all the people of our nation with strength of character and of righteousness. Oh Almighty, this is my prayer.